Okay, so it begins, and 3 minutes into the virtual con, on pop Kevin and Jay. None of us knew. We're all shocked. And Kevin says something along the lines of, folks, everyone you see on screen here is going to be in Clerks 3.
And this year, hopefully the late spring, early summer, we're back in front of the cameras. All these people you see here, plus more, for Clerks 3, ladies.
Yes.
And that was the first, you're right, Chris. That was
That's
the
how
first
you found
time.
out?
I was like, I thought, yeah, you could see it in the clips. The other story I related was like the more official reaching out from the office a few months later, because a couple of months had passed before that all came to fruition. But it was just wonderful. I was nothing but grateful.
It was an awesome moment. And I just remember just being like, I'm in a weird position because like I'm a fan, but I'm friends with you guys, and so I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm happy as a fan, but I'm happy for you guys, and that was such a shocking moment for all of us, which was just really radically cool.
Yeah, it's never saw that coming whatsoever.
Well, what was it like revisiting that role 30 years later? I mean, whatever you can tell us about, of course, we know you can't talk too much about it, but what was it like in being directed by him again and after all this time?
You know, the grandness of the production this time, I had 2 days. I didn't have a lot of time on the set, but I had 2 days. My first day, there was something that needed to be shot where there was no dialogue from me. And from a number of us, actually. And it was a scene that I wasn't even originally told about when I was told about the official Chewlie scene. Because he's doing a movie within a movie. So reenacting some of the scenes from the original is all wide open and has now made it game for these really cool, fun reenactments, cameos. So essentially, like I'm playing the actor who played the actor. It's like it's a whole weird thing. But the first day on the set was a whole different trip, and not as it was nerve-wracking for me for two reasons. One, the grandness of it this time, I wasn't prepared for. It's a beautiful thing, and I got nice and comfortable with it by the time the day was over. You know, I've been on films where there's been trailers and there's hubbub and there's a budget and it's a real film set. But the Clerks experience, because it really was just a bunch of really young kids with some gear, that's my memory of what Clerks was like. So when you fast forward and there's just like these giant trucks, there's like 6 or 7 trucks. There's 5 or 6 Winnebagos for our dressing rooms and makeup. And I mean, and there's more people working the crane than worked on the entire first movie.
Right.
So when you get ensconced in that, I was just like, I was blown away. And then you had people who were big fans of the first, who were production assistants, who were being crazy super nice, which is sweet, but it's a little overwhelming. Like they know exactly who you are and they can't wait to walk you over to your trailer and do anything they can for you.
It's really good for your ego, isn't it?
Yeah, really. But to me, it was just so bizarre and so different that it didn't register as anything other than sweet and amazing and wow, I could see where a fella could get used to this. So I was so kind of juggling that first day. And then Brian, who's a sweetheart of a guy, Brian O'Halloran, as soon as he knew I was on set after I got out of makeup, he just invited me over to his trailer, which he had, obviously he's one of the stars, one of the leads. So he had, one of the bigger trailers and kicked back and we were hanging out and it was great. So the first day's done. And again, not having dialogue, not a lot was needed of me. But that's, the scene where it was going to be heavy with dialogue and at the store itself, which was a big kind of crazy mecca. There we were back at the store that we once did it at, but now blocks from that was like base camp and all shut down. And again, trucks and dozens of people with clipboards doing dozens and dozens of jobs. The hardcore fans lining up the block, just trying to peek, watching the filming. Like when I walked up, a couple people were yelling my name and, hey man, what's up? And hey, Chewlie's guy. And, I smiled and I waved, but it took me a little off guard, and I wanted to enjoy it and treat it with the amazingness it deserved. But at the same time, I didn't expect that in a sense. I wasn't prepared for that. And then Kevin himself was standing off to the corner somewhere. He's like, hey, Scott Schiaffo. And at the time, I didn't know it was Kevin who said that. I thought it was another production assistant or something. And I was like, hey, man. Like, I didn't downplay Kevin, but it almost felt that way later when I realized, oh, that was Kevin saying hello to me. Because, I didn't know. I was a little disoriented by the excitement of it. Yeah, right. I was just like, hey. It's like, oh, man. Like, I'm on the first day back and insulting him.
Also, everyone's wearing a mask, too, so you don't recognize anybody.
Right. That happened with Jeff.